One of the trickiest, most controversial instructions to wives given in several places in the Bible is that the wife must submit to her husband. Ugh, that is not a very popular instruction to wives, and certainly something that is much debated. Well, I've studied it, and I've studied it, and I've studied it again, and here are some of the conclusions I've come to. First of all, we can't escape this command because it's repeated in several different places in the Bible. So apparently we need to pay attention to it. Specifically, the verse that I really look at is Colossians 3:18, because in this specific command for a wife to submit to her husband, it gives a bit of a qualifier, and I think that is an important qualifier. So let me read the verse for you. Colossians 3:18 says, "Wives, submit yourselves to your husbands as is fitting in the Lord." Ooh, interesting. Okay, so we are supposed to submit to our husbands. What does that mean? It means allowing him to be the leader, because God has a thing about authority and structure. He put Jesus in charge of the man, and man is over the woman. It says that in several places in the Bible. So God basically has an authority structure so that all chaos doesn't break out, right? So we are to submit to our husbands, allow them to be the leader. Doesn't mean that we can't offer valuable input and work as their partner, but they're to be the lead, the head. Okay, but Colossians 3:18 again gives this very important qualifier. It says, submit as is fitting in the Lord. So in other words, if your husband is acting in a way that is not fitting in the Lord, I don't believe you have to submit to that. In other words, if he is leading your family on an immoral course, you don't need to follow that. If he is treating you in a horrendous, disrespectful, emotionally abusive way, you don't need to submit to that and say, well, I guess I can't do anything. I just have to submit to him. No. You don't have to do that. In fact, if you look at the very next verse after Colossians 3:18, Colossians 3:19, it instructs husbands not to be harsh with their wives. So if your husband is treating you horribly, emotionally abusive, that kind of thing, you don't need to tolerate that, because God instructs husbands not to behave that way. And again, you only need to submit as is fitting in the Lord. So if your husband is not a perfect man, but attempting to follow the Lord, yes, we need to honor them, respect them by allowing them to lead instead of taking over. And, as women so eagerly do, we kind of take over the leadership in so many areas. What if you were to allow your husband to lead, give him room to lead, and treat him with honor and respect? That is submitting as is fitting in the Lord.